Hey everyone! So in today's video, I'm going to attempt to answer the question, is veganism a feminist issue? Now this is a question that has been a source of debate and exploration for a long time. Vegan feminists are a diverse bunch, so the answer that I'm going to give is by no means the be-all end-all answer that is the default position of any of those groups. So this is a really huge topic, but I tried to condense what I find the most important points to be in a single video. I will say that this video is pretty dense and I cover a lot of different arguments, so if you could stick around till the end, that would be great. So 2 quick disclaimers before I begin. The first is that I did put some graphic imagery for educational purposes in the first section of this video. If you would prefer to look away, that is totally fine, and you'll get all of the content of the video just from listening to it. The second is that in this video, I am talking about veganism as a political ideology. So veganism is not a diet or a grocery list. It is an ethical philosophy which rejects the commodity status of animals. Vegans are people who advocate that philosophy and as a result implement it into their lives as far as is possible. I understand that because of poverty, food apartheid, and other structural oppressions, people will be able to manifest veganism differently and to varying degrees. Okay, so let's get into today's video. To start, I'll give my answer right off the bat. Yes, veganism is a feminist issue. Feminists are concerned with dismantling patriarchy, which is the systematic organization of male supremacy. In this hierarchy, the white man is seen to be on top, and all other humans and other animals are seen to be inferior or inherently less than. As Lisa Kammerer says in Sister Species, both women and animals have historically been considered to be less intelligent, less rational, and therefore more primitive and closer to nature than men. Objectification, ridicule, and control of reproduction are linked to patriarchal denigration and exploitation of females, including human females and nature. When I say that veganism is a feminist issue, it isn't because I see them as exactly the same struggle, but rather that non-veganism is reproducing the same oppressive ideology that feminism seeks to disrupt. And it is thereby only seeking to improve women's place in the system, rather than disrupt what allows the hierarchical system to exist. We cannot ignore the way that patriarchy shapes the systematic oppression of non-human animals. Animals are sexed, and their sex determines the specific exploitation that is performed on that animal. For female animals, their reproductive organs, including their ability to breed, lactate, and menstruate, dictate how they will be enslaved in the system. Cows are repeatedly impregnated so that they will lactate and produce milk for the dairy industry. Their babies, which they carry for 9 months, are stolen away from them just hours after they are born. If they are male, they will go straight to slaughter for the veal industry, and if they are female, they will be locked away in tiny crates where they're fed meal replacements while the industry profits off the sale of their mother's milk to other humans. As soon as they are old enough to reproduce, then they will be forcibly impregnated and the whole cycle starts over again. Cows are impregnated in rape racks, which is a term used by the industry to describe the stalls where cows are constrained while farmers stick long metal tools up their vaginas to deposit semen that was forcibly stolen from a bull. Due to extensive genetic mutilation, today's cows produce up to 12 times more milk, and their overworked bodies start producing less milk when they're 4 to 5 years old, at which point they are considered spent and sent to slaughter to be killed for meat. As Lisa Kammerer says, women and non-human animals are exploited for their reproductive abilities, and both are devalued as they age and wear out, when they are no longer able to reproduce. Female pigs are also immediately impregnated after birthing piglets, while hens are manipulated into constant cycles of ovulation so that the industry can steal and consume their reproductive eggs. This process induces incredible levels of stress on their bodies and causes illnesses such as egg binding and other diseases. Since male chicks don't produce eggs, they are immediately discarded and killed in huge grinders. As many vegans have pointed out, it's hard to ignore the patriarchal nature of how female animals are exploited for their reproductive capacities. As AFCO says, as feminists, to consume raped and tortured non-human animal bodies while fighting against rape culture seems a topic worthy of discussion. By the way, I know I'm probably going to get this comment, so I'm not saying that male animals do not suffer as much in the animal agriculture industry. Far from it. I'm saying that speciesism as a whole, or the hierarchy that positions non-human animals at the bottom of the pyramid and dictates how they are exploited, is largely rooted in white supremacist patriarchy. The second major point that I want to make is that tactics for justice must include all oppressed groups to bring about deep-seated change. The ranking of oppressions, or the either-or approach to social justice, is false. Systematic violence exists across lines of oppression. The abuse of women overlaps with the abuse of animals. The same patriarchal system that feminists oppose relies on the subjugation of other animals to assert male dominance. This is why activities that involve animal cruelty, such as barbecuing, meat eating, and hunting, are seen as traditionally manly activities. Small parentheses, but why do you think there exists an entire industry dedicated to reassuring men that they can still look, eat, and fuck like a real man once they go veg? I mean, male fragility is so real. The patriarchal aspects of meat eating are also seen in how animals are feminized and women are animalized to justify their oppression. Restaurants like Hooters epitomize how typical macho spaces conflate both the sexualization of women and the objectification of animals as meat. In these spaces that celebrate animal slaughter, women are also sexualized and objectified as pieces of meat for male consumption. Cultural symbols of patriarchy, like Playboy bunnies, also show how women are animalized and animals are sexualized. Examples of this in mainstream culture are countless, from ads to sell Orangina to sexy animal costumes women wear on Halloween. Once you start to notice how patriarchy animalizes and sexualizes all groups that are not white men to justify their inferior status, it becomes impossible to see speciesism, feminism, racism, and other forms of oppression as having nothing to do with one another. A totally different but related example that highlights the connection between feminism and veganism is that there exists a large correlation between violence against humans and violence against other animals. Several studies have shown that towns that have slaughterhouses have higher rates of domestic violence and violent crimes, including murder and rape. The American Humane Association found that 68% of battered women reported that their partner also performed violence against their animals. They also found that in 88% of homes where child abuse was occurring, animal abuse was as well. According to these facts, it makes sense that FBI profilers use animal abuse as one of their 4 indicators to assess future violent behaviors of suspects. Or that social services will investigate for animal abuse first when they stage an intervention for a home in trouble. The connection that exists between violence against women and children and violence against other animals is a clear indicator of how patriarchy systematically harms those that it objectifies. This correlation makes it really clear that animal cruelty problems are people problems, and that feminists who are invested in dismantling the patriarchy should include animals in their frameworks. Last but not least, I hope that by explaining some of the connections between feminism and veganism, I have also shed light on why it is very counterproductive for vegans to use sexist tactics to promote their own message. There is rampant sexism in the vegan movement. Women make up over 60% of the animal rights movement, yet their visibility in this movement still overwhelmingly represents them as sexualized props. Women are told that getting undressed for the animals to show how sexy veganism is, or stripping down to show how much they resemble pieces of meat in patriarchal imagination, is the form of activism most readily available for them. No, we don't want to use your intellect when we should just use your physical appearance. I mean, that's all women are good for anyway, right? Campaigns like PETA capitalize on the existing oppression of women and use their bodies to make a profit, all in the names of the animals. Oh, and here's a lovely campaign they made about a woman having the bottoms knocked out of her after her boyfriend went vegan. Veganism should be challenging rape culture, not contributing to it. Vegans, especially white male vegans, should also stop bullying feminists, telling them that if they were real feminists, they would be vegan. I've seen many disgustingly sexist vegans who have not devoted 1 second to learning about the oppression of women, who suddenly become these really outspoken feminists when they talk about the reasons why they're vegan. Male vegans also sometimes use veganism to silence the very real concerns that women still face today. Come on, that's not what veganism is about. As I've said before, and I will say it a million more times, going vegan does not mean that you suddenly stop participating to other forms of oppression. Being vegan does not make you a feminist, it does not make you anti-racist, anti-ableist, anti-capitalist, or even anti-speciesist. Becoming vegan is a start, no doubt a great and very important one. But people should not think for 1 second that just because they've gone vegan, they've mastered and undone the root of all oppression. As Michelle Lloyd Page explains in the Sister Vegan Anthology, all social inequalities are linked. Comprehensive, systematic change will happen only if we are aware of these connections and work to bring an end to all inequalities, not just our favorites or the ones that most directly affect our part of the universe. No one is on the sidelines. By our actions or inactions, by our caring or our indifference, we are either part of the problem or part of the solution. So is veganism a feminist issue? Yes, and feminism is a vegan issue. I'll end this video by quoting AFCO, who says that violence is intersectional, so our movements to end violence must be as well. Alright, I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. I want to give a special thank you to these 2 books that really helped me learn about the connections between feminism and veganism and other social justice issues. The first is Sister Species. It's edited by Lisa Kimmerer. I really hope I was saying this name right throughout the video. And the second is Sister Vegan by Breeze Harper, which I've talked about many times already on my channel. And there's another article by AFCO that I used, which I'll link down below. So anyway, that's it, and I'll see you shortly in my next video. Bye!